So guys, welcome back to the channel. Another day, another video, and today we're going to talk about these headphones right here. Now, if you aren't aware of it, this is the same brand over here, the Roseselsa brand. I think I said that incorrectly, but if I did, my bad for butchering your name. But if you go to the Rose Technics website, you can see all the type of products that they have. And to be honest with you, this one is similar to this one, though I do feel like the specs on this is a little bit better. But you know, that's neither here and there. They're two entirely different products. So let's talk some specifications real fast. So for the people wondering about these buds, they are about $50, but currently if you go to the website, which I'll have the link in the description, you can get them for about $37.99. Charge time takes about 40 minutes. These guys do have hybrid ANC and transparency mode, USB-C, Bluetooth 5.3. These guys are 10mm drivers. For the person wondering about the listening time, you get 10 hours in ear and 40 in a case, so it's a total of 50 together. But keep in mind, if you use it under ANC or transparency or normal mode, that will differ when it comes to talk time and listening time combined. Now, lastly, it has LDAC, AAC, MSBC, and SBC for the people wondering about the audio format. I don't normally mention that in the videos, but I figure I'll start doing that because there are people out there that need to know the audio format because they use it for different reasons, so keep that in mind. And this does have multi-point. So you have the option to connect it to multiple devices. And lastly, yes, these guys do in fact have a application which allows you to customize I'm not sure about the customization, the equalizer, but it does let you switch over to different equalizer and the settings and things like that for the best comfort and quality of sound. Now, with that being said, I think that these buds are pretty good for the asking price. To be honest with you, it's very rare to find headphones that have these many features jam-packed without skimping on anything, and it's still sounding good. Now, there's a drawback. The buds are a little bit chunky, if we're being honest here, but outside of that, they're not bad at all. So before we get into this review, let's see if I missed anything right here. Oh, IPX5 for water resistance, so I needed to say that. Oh, another feature, totally forgot about this. The other one has it too. This has the Hi-Fi Master EQ, and it also has wind noise dampening. So if you're running, you're jogging, you're on a bike and things like that, when you're listening to music, normally that wind goes right in your face, right? Well, what this will do is it'll lighten the load on your ears so that the music doesn't feel like it's suffering while you're outside. Obviously, if you go out into a windstorm, there's only so much it can do. But when it comes to the average day or a windy day or a spring day or even a winter day, you will notice a difference where the wind doesn't hit the buds as much and it feels a lot more natural than, let's say, on transparency mode or normal mode or something like that. And lastly, it does have 10mm drivers. So, you know, the sound is still pretty good, pretty big for the drivers themselves. I'm stuttering over here. Anyway, with that being said, timestamps in the description for the people out there that want to watch whatever section of the video you want to watch. Let's get into this and not waste any more time. So as soon as you unbox this, which I'm going to give you a quick version of that, you have the USB-C that's inside of here. You just have to lift this up and take the USB out from right here. But I'm going to leave it in there because I have so many of them, it's not really necessary for you to use the USB it comes with. And then you also have the ear tips themselves. Now, you have large, you have mediums. I'm not sure if they come with extra larges or not, but it does have large, medium, and small tips, and they give you some extra tips inside of this, so keep that in mind. You can use it for other headphones if you have it, but you know, I suggest saving it for this one. And for this review, did I put the large ones on there? Yeah, I believe I actually already put the large headphones on there because I was using them for a while. Now, the only downside to this headset, if I'm being completely honest with you, is the fact that it's really, really a chunky headset. That is a thick boy right there. But outside of that, for the average person, I think this is going to fit in your ear just fine for the most part. Though I personally didn't have any issues with them falling out of my ears. Though my wife is a smaller ear person, and she said when she sweat a little bit, they did start slipping. She had to kind of like push her finger back into her ear to make sure that they didn't fall out. So just kind of keep that in mind. But outside of that, I think it's a pretty solid looking design. I love the way the logo looks right there, where companies take the time to actually do that. They care about their product, you can definitely tell. But anyway, you can use the left by itself. You can use the right by itself. Just make sure you fit it in here. I did have an issue initially when I first got them where the left bud didn't connect to the connector. So I just wiped it with a little cloth and wiped this part right here. And then when I place it back inside, there's no more issues moving forward. So it's just a little minor gripe. So just remember that. Anyway, you do have the USB-C on the bottom right here for the charger port, and you also have this button which doubles down as how to resync the buds to one another if they're inside the case or if you have some type of syncing issue. Lastly, we have this right here. Oh, one more thing. I kind of wish this case sat up on this. Oh, dropped them. Sorry, guys. Dropped them. I'm saying sorry to the company, even though they're mine, they gave it to me. But anyway, yeah, I do like the feel of them. At first, it took me a while to kind of get used to the feel of the buds. I didn't really care for it at first because when you look at the air-free i5s, right? Let me just show you real fast. And it's not really to do a comparison, but because they're both good, but they have their own, you know, these are stems. The quality of this case is felt a lot more finished, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, this is beautiful right here. But this one really grew on me after a while. Like, I like the little soft, I'm not gonna say it's metallic, but I like the little glossy case. Let me do a shake test for you guys. So, whoa, the buds pop right out, and I'm glad it didn't fall into my cup of what is this called? Root beer over here. So if you're a person out there and you're not very careful with your buds, 9 times out of 10, if you use this, it's going to fall out of the case. If it drops, probably going to pop open and it's not going to be too secure. So just make sure that you keep them in your pocket. Make sure you keep them with the case closed and don't shake them too much. Like, I did a really, really heavy shake. If I just do it regular, the buds aren't going to pop out. But if you shake them hard, and I just wanted to kind of simulate falling down and hitting the ground without actually dropping the buds, it will pop out. But that's a minor detail. No big deal to me personally. Now, we do have the instructions right here. And to be honest with you, it showed you about the charging. Remember I told you how to reset it right here? This is the little section here to how to reset it, where you hold that and it'll actually reset the buds. It says 10 to 15 seconds and it flashes 3 times. So just keep that in mind. Most buds are like this, but you know, it's always nice to have the instructions just in case. You have the troubleshooting aspect right here. Make sure that you pause this section and screenshot whatever it is that you need for the instructions, because if you have these and you lost them, you may not know how to use them properly. And it shows the first time pairing, wearing, how to pair to it with another device right here. It shows you the touch control guide, which is right here. I'm going to leave that for you guys. Now, I'm not a huge fan of touch controls, but these are pretty responsive because it's a flat surface where the buds are, where the touch is. So you should be good to go on that aspect. But that's pretty much it. And on this side, it's a different language. So for the person out there that may not know English, unfortunately, I do apologize. I'm not sure which language this is, but I'm just going to go ahead and show it to you guys anyway, so you can still screenshot whatever it is that you want if English isn't your first language. So with that being said, the buds look nice. They smell good. Let me give a little smell test. Smells like savings, boys. Smells like savings. No, but all jokes aside, let's go over to the next section. I'm going to show you a little bit more about these buds. So the syncing process is going to be super duper simple. So I'm going to try it one of 2 ways. The first one is some headphones allow you to just flip the lid of the case. The buds to the left and the right are automatically going to communicate with one another, and then you can go to Bluetooth and sync them. Not saying that's what's going to happen here, but I want to try that anyway for the person that's interested and wants to know. Now you go to the settings, we're in Bluetooth right here. I'm going to go ahead and hit scan and see if they pop up. So they do. Roseselsa Ceramics X. So guess what? These guys can sit inside the case as is, and they're going to automatically pair as soon as you flip the case, the left and the right, right to the left, however you want to say it, pairs to one another. And all you got to do is tap Roseselsa Ceramics X right here, and it should in fact sync. There we go. I'm going to press pair. We're good to go. Headphones are currently connected. That fast, that simple. If you follow these instructions, this is how it's going to be to sync the buds. So keep that in mind. So these are the earbuds inside of my ears. And for the person wondering, they actually are very, very comfortable. Now, I did say earlier in this video that these earbuds aren't going to be for everybody. And what I mean by that is my wife has much smaller ear lobes than me. So when she places headphones, I'm sorry, I could barely even hear you guys. Let me take one out of my ear. When you place something this big inside of your ear, it will forcefully push this area open. And for some people, if you have tender ears inside, this may not be the bud for you. But for everybody else that's used to using JLab or Five Below headphones or, you know, JBL, because they tend to make thicker headphones, if that's the type that you like, Skull Candy and things like that, I think that this is going to fit perfectly fine for you. Now, what I will say is that over a period of about 3 hours, 4 hours of me wearing this, I did notice that I felt a little soreness in my ear when I took them out. Because again, I normally use clip headphones, so I had to familiarize myself with using these type of headphones again on a regular basis. And once I got used to it, it wasn't a problem at all. But for someone that's used to these buds, they don't care for clip earbuds or ear hook earbuds, I think it's going to fit just fine for you. But anyway, let me show you how you place them inside of your ear. So I personally place it inside my ear like so, kind of fit it in, wiggle, and then I twist it clockwise, and it locks right into where it needs to be. Whether I'm laying down, running, jogging, riding my scooter, going over bumps, I didn't have any issue with these earbuds being dislodged in my ears personally, but because my wife's ears are so small, when she started sweating doing her workouts, she did say she had to kind of like push it back into her ear because it did kind of slip out. But for me, after wiping them down, of course, obviously, I'm not sharing air germs out of here. I haven't had an issue with them slipping out personally. But what I will say is I do find myself from time to time just kind of making sure that they're still secure in the same spot because I'm used to earphones moving. But the sheer size of these make it where once it's lodged into your ear, it's almost, I'm not gonna say it's a 0% obviously, but you have a substantially lower percentage of these moving around in the ears, though I've had smaller buds in the past, so it's really up to you about your personal preference when it comes to size and looks. But I think these look good. I think they feel good inside of the ear, and more importantly, they also sound good, and that's something that we need to talk about. But first, let's talk about, I guess we'll go over the actual application itself so you can see what these buds are capable of. So let's go over the actual buds and the application itself. Now for the people out there, this is a free application. You don't have to pay anything in order to set it up. All you got to do is download it. Make sure the buds are connected through Bluetooth. They should pop up in the search settings. As a matter of fact, let me show you right here. It'll show you the buds themselves. It'll say connected, and all you got to do is tap it and you're good to go. Now, as soon as you sign into the Ceramic X, it shows you the left bud and the right bud, and guess what? It actually shows you the battery life. So for the people out there wondering, is there a way for me to see the battery life? Absolutely. I do want to also say for Apple users, you can actually go to your little battery widgets when you swipe to the side of the screen, and it'll actually show you the widgets of your watch, your phone itself, how charged it is, the buds and things like that. Keep that in mind. Now you do have 4 features right here. You have the ANC mode, you have the wind mode, normal mode, and transparency. And guess what? If you tap them, it'll say wind noise cancellation. If you hit normal, it says noise cancellation off, and it just said normal. Well, it didn't say normal, it just said wind cancellation off. When I hit transparency, it says transparent mode. When I hit normal again, it just says noise canceling off. So it won't actually say normal mode, but if you highlight it, it will be on normal mode. Keep that in mind. You have the different equalizer settings, which is pop, hi-fi, and rock. Now, I know some people are going to be a little bit irritated about this. It doesn't seem like it has any form of customization for a custom EQ, just the ones that it comes with. But I can honestly say if you use rock, it's one of my favorite ones. Personally, I prefer rock, but I'm just going to leave it on hi-fi for right now because I'm just walking through the video process. But once we actually do the music section, best believe it's going to be on the rock equalizer setting. You have a game mode, which it's pretty self-explanatory. Reduced latency, sound response, it's faster. So if you do turn this on, I've tried Call of Duty Mobile with this. I didn't notice that whenever I shoot, whenever I run, whenever I slide, if I hear the footsteps, everything seems to be directly in my face, and it's very easy. As long as your phone can keep up with it. Keep in mind, if you're using a low-end phone and you use these earbuds, your phone might lag, but the sound still keep up. Gunshots, explosions, even the chat speaking to other people came out very, very clear. So I can kindly say that if you're using them for gaming reasons, these are pretty good buds for that reason. Now, if you use dual device connection, what's going to end up happening is I believe it automatically switches it to AAC SBC mode. You can't use that in LDAC, unfortunately, but outside of that, it's perfectly fine. You also have the lossless audio protocol, and this is the part where a lot of people probably want to see. So when you hit dual connection, you have LDAC, you have AAC SBC. Now, AAC SBC is what a lot of headphones normally use, where the connectivity is a lot stronger, but the music suffers a little bit. Still pretty clear depending on what headset you have, but you're going to get better sound if you use LDAC. That's what I suggest you use on a regular basis. And also a little fun fact, for the people out there using Androids, if you go to the settings of your Bluetooth, like through the settings in Bluetooth, if you tap that Bluetooth, like the little 3 dots on the right hand corner, it might be a faster way to tap LDAC on and off. That's what I did with the Samsung tablet, but I'm using my Motorola device right now, so it is going to differ a little bit. But anyway, let's continue with this touch settings and protocols and all that stuff. So when it comes to touch settings, you have the left ear and you have the right ear, and you could actually customize both of them. So if you tap it once, you have lower volume, no function, increased volume, previous track, next track, pause and play, right? If you do double taps, pretty much the same thing. If you do triple taps, pretty much the same thing. So what I'm seeing right here is it seems like you don't have the option to switch the equalizer setting unless you go to the application itself and manually switch it. Some buds actually have that featured into the touch controls, but this one is strictly for volume, up and down, pause and play, music, and media consumption. So just kind of keep that in mind. Anyway, earphone voice language, you have the option to switch between Chinese and English. So I guess that language you were looking at before was probably Chinese, now that I think about it. But I mean, there might eventually be more options for languages, but you also have to understand that if you get a product and it's sent in a particular region, it's going to have the language of whatever region the product comes from, but also English, because, you know, English is probably the most popular language in the United States. So they want to make sure that their customers can get the full customization and experience of the product itself. And, you know, I obviously appreciate that feature. Outside of that, this is the firmware. There is a newer firmware update, but there's really nothing else outside of this, like personal information, language preferences, switch themes, if you want to just change the application itself. If you go to Square, you actually have the option for white noise and things like that. But my suggestion is just go on YouTube and listen to the different white noise and backgrounds and things like that if you're trying to fall asleep while using the buds. And I will also say, lastly, for the people out there wondering, are these comfortable while sleeping? Well, to be honest with you, I laid down with it, not necessarily fell asleep, and I didn't feel like the buds were going to fall out of my ears. But I will say, because they do stick out, it's not advisable to lay on these because it's going to press deeper into your ear. And like in the last part, I did mention that it's already pushing my ear holes open, so you don't want it to do it any deeper because it will cause bruising, probably, if that's the case. So, you know, safety first. But this is the application. These are all the functions. Very simple to use, very self-explanatory. And for the person out there, make sure you download the application with this, because you do want the full customizable experience when you decide to listen to these buds. So this is a sound sample of these buds if you decide to use them for, let's say, things like phone calls and conversations. Now, like I always say to people, depending on the quality of your network signal, that may actually cause your phone to break up, and it won't necessarily be the buds, but instead an issue with the network. But if we're just talking about quality of sound, this is a sample. If this sounds good to you or anyone else that's listening to this in this video, then that means that this is what you're going to hear on the opposite end of the conversation if you're on a phone call. So keep that in mind. So right now I actually have a fan on, and it's simulating noise in the background. So for the people wondering how this is going to sound with a lot of noise, this is the example. Now the fan is currently on low. It's actually an industrial fan. I'm going to turn it on medium right now. Here we go. All right, so the fan is on medium. I would believe that the noise definitely got louder. I haven't heard the sound sample myself right now, so I will have to review it naturally to see how well it actually performs with background noise. And lastly, we're going to do high right now. All right, so this is the fan on high right now, and this is how it's going to sound with background noise. Keep in mind, I am talking a little bit louder because I can actually hear the fan right in front of my face, and I want to make sure that you guys can hear me clearly. But just keep that in mind, that whenever you're in outside or different situations, like cars beeping and cops, like hopefully you'll have to worry about cops, but as long as you're outside, cars going past, train stations, bikes, horns, things like that, you're probably going to hear a lot of that noise in the background. What matters is how good the speakers are in terms of clarity on the opposite end. Because I'm using a voice recorder, these are the buds themselves, so just keep that in mind. So let me just say that the music qualities for these buds are actually really, really good. Now, I did use it in AAC SBC mode, which in my opinion does have a more stable Bluetooth connection. Now, if you're not some crazy music lover and you want to hear the most perfect sound, then I think that mode might be better for a lot of people, because it also allows you to also double down for the multi-point aspect of this too. But if we're just talking about pure quality, leave it on LDAC, because that's the case. You might have a hiccup here and there depending on where you travel to, but for the most part, I haven't had many problems at all in LDAC mode. Maybe like once every couple of days, I might have a little hiccup when I'm passing a particular street on a particular power line, and maybe that has some type of interference. But outside of that, on my everyday, commute to work, or if I'm actually at work already, it was perfectly fine. But anyway, back to the music. I'm talking too much. When it comes to the bass, these are 10mm drivers, so keep that in mind. I think the bass is nice and heavy enough on these buds, but it doesn't overpower the other instruments at all. So, for example, I had downloaded a lot of cyberpunk songs. If you know who Samurai is, Johnny Silverhand, all that stuff in the game, then you know that that's the songs that's themed around that particular story that goes on in the game. But I downloaded the actual music because I love the guitars, I love the background. Resist and Disorder plays a lot of instruments in the background. It's more of a rock. It is a rock song. I'm not gonna say it's more of a rock song. It is a rock song. And I think that the best way to really test out music is trying R&B, trying out rock, trying out alternative. I have some Japanese music. I have some Final Fantasy tracks. You know, I have some orchestra tracks, some rap tracks, and rap tracks. Rap tracks, that's what I meant to say. And all of them played very, very well. When it came to the instruments and the vocals meshing, I didn't feel like other instruments took over the song. You know how sometimes you play a violin in the background or something, and the violin might overpower the actual lyrics of the songs? Well, I do want to say that the lyrics overpowers the other instruments a little bit, but not enough where it feels like you're hindering or you have to pay close attention to the subtle details that the artist wanted you to actually hear. Now, here's the negative part. If you play this at about 90 to 100%, you are going to notice that the bass starts to kind of not bleed, but you can tell that it's struggling to, it doesn't deepen. It just gets louder and it's more of a screech than anything else. Still sounds good, don't get me wrong, but that's for the person that wants to listen to it at 100%, which I never suggest because you can blow out your ears on any earbuds at 100%, so kind of keep that in mind. But if you find that sweet spot, which is about 70, 80% or so, even, yeah, 70, 80%, especially with the ANC currently turned on, because it drowns out so much of that background noise, it feels like you're just listening to the music and nothing else around you. And that to me is more so the ideal spot to listen to music, where the bass sounds it sounds great. Even if you're listening to crunk music or whatever, it doesn't feel like it's being overpowered by the other instruments. The higher you go, the more the instruments are being pressed. So just kind of keep that in mind. I do want to also say that if you play that 90 to 100%, let's say a violin's playing, or the person's voice is playing, or the kicks or the hats or snares or certain things, you start noticing them a lot more, and they start sounding like the same volume of other aspects of the song. And that's for most headsets, if we're being honest here. It isn't just a Ceramics X issue. This is most headphones. They're not really meant to be played at that extremely high octave because our eardrums aren't meant to take that much noise. But some people just, you know, they don't care and they just want to vibe out and not worried about ear damage. My suggestion is to listen to this about 70 to 80% at maximum. I think that's more than loud enough. The music sounds good at that volume. It's super clear with the LDAC. And to be honest with you, I don't really have anything negative to say outside of just a max volume. It's good. It's a really good headset. And for anyone that wants this, especially for the asking price, under $40 right now on the website, it's just really good. And dare I say that this is in fact comparable to JLab, Soundpeats, and other brands. And again, I'm not trying to pit them against each other, but I'm just trying to say that the brands that I champion normally, the fact that I'm saying these headphones are good enough to go toe to toe with them in terms of music and clarity in the microphones really says a lot. And you know, I really appreciate competition because it forces everybody to make a better product each time. And quite frankly, this is something that I see myself using, though I do prefer the Airfree i5s over this because of the stem design. It's a little bit smaller inside of my ear, but these are still good too for the person that likes the design. So just keep that in mind. So to finish off this video, I do think that these headphones are very, very good for the asking price. Now on the website, like I mentioned earlier, it's about $48, but because they have a sale going on, you're going to spend under $40 for all these features. You have transparency mode, you have the multi-point, you have noise cancellation, you have wind noise cancellation, which is a really good feature to, you know, just lower the amount of wind that blows in your ears when you're outside and things like that, so you can get a better music experience. You have a long 10-hour battery life, 40 inside the case, LDAC, many different modes, a individual gaming mode and things like that. You do have equalizers. Granted, I do think that with an update, if you could get a custom EQ, that's basically what this brand is missing right now. It's a custom EQ that you can set yourself. If they add that, I think it's going to be a really big competitor for people out there that are looking for alternative because they're tired of paying top dollar for, you know, basic headphones. Outside of that, I don't have anything bad to say. Other than, actually, that wasn't even bad. There was actually a lot of things I said that was good. What I meant to say was the only downside is just the size of the earbuds themselves. They are thicker earbuds, though I will say that they do lock into the ear pretty easily. For the average person, it'll work for you guys. For big ear people, it's definitely going to work for you. But for those that have the smaller ears, I'm just going to be honest with you, it'll probably fit, but you might have some type of soreness, or it may loosen over time, or it might just outright fall out. So kind of keep that in mind. That's why I say stem headphones tend to be better for people that have smaller earbuds because it's easier to take in and out, and the top design right here is normally smaller while these are just bigger in general. Not bad for the asking price at all. And to be honest with you, I look forward to working with this company. If they don't send me anything else, that's fine. I'll buy the earbuds. But if they do decide to send me something, I definitely welcome it because it's a brand that I actually like and I still use to this day. Anyway, like and subscribe like always. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care, be safe, peace.